been a year since the world woke up to the war in Ukraine.
Russia's full-scale invasion brought fear and suffering past the borders of the eastern Donbas region to every corner of the country and beyond.
In Kyiv, Sarah Coates looks at how a year of war has shaped the people who lived through it.
This time last year, a sense of doom hung over Ukraine. The country was braced for an attack from Russia, but when the first strikes landed, they were still hard to process.
24 лютого, на жаль, для нас такий день був дуже тяжким. Можна так сказати, таких непорозуміннях. Ми не знали, що робити, чи нам речі складати. Ми не хотіли вірити, наш мозг це не сприймав, що почалася війна.
Millions of Ukrainians left the country for safer ground. Many have resettled elsewhere in Europe, where they're allowed to remain for 3 years. But not all of them are prepared to wait that long. Many Ukrainians who fled to other countries as refugees at the beginning of this war are now returning home. They say they feel a moral obligation to be here, and being away was too difficult. School teacher Valentina Homenko is one of them. In March, she travelled to Berlin with a wave of other refugees.
Точно знала, що будуть діти, що будуть учні. І тому питання навіть і не стояло. Раз відкривається школа в офлайні, раз ми працюємо. Це моя школа, це мої діти, це мої колеги. Я повернулася.
In September, Russia found itself on the back foot, while Ukraine retook thousands of square kilometres. Now fighting stretches over an 800-kilometre front line, with little movement in either direction.
What you've got now is both sides gearing up for the spring and summer. You've got Russia mobilising and training its extra conscripts. You've also got it reorganising. Now, whether Russia will mount a major strategic offensive is not clear. It may be they will hold their new forces in reserve for counterattack any Ukrainian attacks. But Ukraine has a vote.
Moscow is still firing missiles at major cities, with energy infrastructure its biggest target. Ukrainians live with rolling blackouts, going hours, sometimes days, without power. But the prospect of spring brings some sense of optimism.
Якщо Україна виграє війну, а це буде обов'язково, бо іншого варіанту при цьому типі війни не існує, тому що ключова ціль, про це пан Путін вже неодноразово говорив, є не просто там надбання якихось, придбання якихось територій, додаткових, і не просто руйнування економіки України, а знищення саме концепції, нинішньої концепції української державності.
Yet that concept is now stronger than ever. Ukrainians have rallied around their flag and their government. Many who used to speak Russian by default now consciously switch to Ukrainian.
We right now know who the Ukrainians, who are we, our identity, what we are struggling for, what we are about. We're about freedom, about development, about future, and Russia is about the past, about problems, about death and destruction. Ukraine is about development, future, and moving forward, and creating, not destroying.
It's a message the government has delivered to many world leaders that Ukraine is fighting a war for not just its own territory, but for Western values themselves. Ukraine's leaders are determined to win this war. They vow that one day air alerts will be silenced and church bells alone will echo across the country. But the path towards that day is as much in Moscow's hands as it is Kyiv's.